Given that it's been over 10 months since Dr. Alvik announced her departure from our district, our school board has had plenty of time to hire a professional search firm to help them find a highly qualified permanent superintendent. Instead, after receiving over a dozen resumes, our board only interviewed 2 candidates in September and chose Sherry Shanley, who failed to earn the recommendation of the county superintendent, Kyle Anderson. In an October 29th email, Mr. Anderson advised the board to appoint someone else. The board rejected his advice and sought state approval instead. The Commissioner of Education granted this approval for 3 months until February 10th. On November 23rd, the board removed all job postings for superintendent, making no effort to search for a qualified permanent superintendent. When the Commissioner of Education granted another 3-month extension on February 9th, she made it clear that she expected the board to have a permanent superintendent in place by May 11th, 2022. The Monroe Township Board of Education defied the Commissioner of Education and failed to do the work necessary to comply with her request. Instead, the board signed a limited services agreement with New Jersey School Boards Association that was signed in mid-March, which only required the NJSBA to provide them with a pool of qualified candidates. In contrast, the Livingston Board of Ed hired the NJSBA for a more comprehensive array of services. According to a news article, in an effort to collect community-wide feedback from all key stakeholders, the Livingston School District hosted a public forum for residents to attend both in person and online. An NJSBA official working with the Livingston Board met with several stakeholder groups, including staff, PTA, and other residents, to collect feedback that was synthesized into a report for the board along with the results of an online survey. Back in 2017, South Brunswick also had a comprehensive superintendent search process that heavily involved the community. At the time, their board president stated, "We hired a knowledgeable search consultant. We invested countless hours reviewing resumes, interviewing candidates, and debriefing. We instituted an extensive online survey to gather staff and community input. We included community members in the first round of interviews." These 2 school boards fulfilled their responsibility to the students and taxpayers by making an honest, good faith effort to find a qualified superintendent. In contrast, the Monroe Board of Ed sought no community input until the Commissioner of Education forced them to do it in her May 13th letter granting another contract extension for Ms. Shanley. Even then, the board sent out a poorly worded survey with no prior notice that included only 2 questions. The NJSBA recommended that community surveys be publicized in advance and include 7 or 8 questions, and recommended that the board establish a survey committee to oversee the process. This board did no such thing. Our board does not respect the recommendations of the county superintendent, the Commissioner of Education, or the New Jersey School Boards Association. In fact, this board shows a contempt for government agencies that have oversight over them. I urge the board to sign another contract with the NJSBA to further involve them in the interview process, which, like the South Brunswick process, should include members of the public in these interviews. There needs to be transparency about what's also going on in our business office. How long would Mr. Gorski's suspension last? Why hasn't the acting business administrator been present?
You have
for
to
the last
speak to the agenda, Mrs. East. That is not part of the agenda.
Well,
Thank you.
Well, I want to know what the board intends to do to improve transparency and further involve the community in the superintendent search process.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.